Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm reading today for Aquarius energy for the month of May. These readings can be a little bit predictive, so if it doesn't resonate in the moment, just check back in a little bit later in the month and just see if anything has come up or anything's changed. I find that when I do these readings for myself, where they're a little bit predictive, they don't make sense when I first do them, and then I give them a couple of weeks and then I'm like, oh my goodness, everything is exactly like spot on. So also, it's going to resonate generally if you resonate with Aquarius energy. It doesn't have to be your sun sign, your star sign. It could be any placement. Or if just generally Aquarius energy feels like it vibes with you. Also, if it doesn't, you may want to check out other placements and other kind of star signs, sun signs that kind of just make sense for you. You can go ahead and do that. So, Chifflewink and Chufflefluff. Chifflewink and Chufflefluff. I heard this and I was like, okay, I guess that's for Aquarius. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It has the feeling of like pet names maybe, or like the name of like a literal pet. I'm seeing 111 on the timestamp, so watch out for repeating numbers. Chifflewink and Chufflefluff. It sounds very, very twee as well. And I was hearing a quote from a Madonna song. I don't remember specifically which one it is, but it's something like, "Our happiness does not depend on the permission of another." And I thought that was interesting. Our happiness does not depend on the permission of another. What else have I got? I've got a lot of like old, like vintage style movies or books for you. I don't know if you're really into kind of like maybe like Miss Marple stories, or kind of like old Hollywood movies. It's got this kind of, I would say anywhere from between say like the 1920s to the 1960s. It has this kind of black and white movie feel to it. Kind of, I'm really seeing like I feel like it was Lauren Bacall, you know, the one with like the whole Hollywood waves, you know, there's glamorous Hollywood waves, or like Marilyn Monroe, people like this. But there's something coming through about, now I don't know if somebody, I don't know, I'm getting this thing about like the actor persona. So the idea is kind of relating as well a little bit to Scorpio's reading, because Scorpio had this sorry, I'm getting stuff as I'm speaking. I'm getting stuff, and it's hard to kind of like focus. So Scorpio's reading had this thing about influencers, and how influencers can, like, you know, influencers on social media who like get paid to promote services, and they give this kind of idealized lifestyle, but a lot of the times they're not really as rich as they appear to be on the surface, because a lot of it is staging. So for you, it's coming through a little bit like the actor persona. So the idea of an actor also being a character. So you know how like actors adopt a stage name, or kind of a so you might have like, you know, like Doris Day, or like, I don't know, maybe that was her real name. What was Marilyn Monroe's real name? Norma Jean, right? So it's like Norma Jean was the real girl, and then Marilyn Monroe was kind of the alter ego, and it's like a crafted persona that's sellable. So it's something to do with like how marketable someone's persona is, as opposed to kind of like the everyday average kind of behind closed doors version of themselves. So this is coming through for you. I don't really know how it's gonna fit. They're giving me Leo energy. They're just showing me like Leo. So that could be something for somebody. I don't really understand that because Marilyn Monroe's Cancer, but they're showing me like Marilyn Monroe and giving Leo. So if that makes any sense to you, go ahead and take it. If it doesn't, just kind of leave it. It might just be like one thing for one person. Yeah, it's kind of like this idea of maybe like, you know, that concept of like the world is a stage. Like every time we go out of our house, we're putting on this persona of like how we want to be perceived, how we want people to view us, and as soon as we go behind closed doors, kind of like that's our secret self again. So we could be talking about kind of like your sun and moon. Your sun sign is your persona, you know, the way that you show up on the surface level, and then I say your moon is more like your secret self, like your behind closed doors self, like the people who get close to you. So maybe somebody has like Leo moon or something like that. But yeah, I was getting something originally. I was getting this. I've had two scenarios come through for you, and it looks like old black and white movies, the way these intuitive messages are coming in. So the first one was like this woman on a train, and this man was giving her, it was like an old kind of Orient Express, kind of like a luxury train. And she was being given this really heavy, I feel like it was a ruby necklace. It was like these big jewels, and it was heavy. I could feel the necklace. It was like this, the weight of this necklace. And it was clearly like an expensive gift that this man was buying her. But then it had this feeling of like the guy was an investor in the railway, and it's like the girl had this premonition that the train was gonna crash. Basically, the train was gonna crash because a bolt was missing out of one of either the wheels or the track, which is making me think of Capricorn, because Capricorn had the hidden track, and it was coming through like music, right? The hidden track, the hidden song at the end of the CD. But then I was thinking, what if it's like a hidden path, right? Or something like that. I don't know. But then like now for you, you're getting this train track energy, but it was like a bolt was missing. And like the woman said, I bet you could I bet you wish you could trade this necklace for a single bolt. And so it was like the message of it, the kind of metaphor that was coming through was, do you know how, like, if you've ever watched the film Titanic, you know, you have the guy who's like the investor in the railway. He's kind of like the money guy or something like that. But they've skipped on lifeboats. They've skipped on, you know, like when they were building the Titanic, like even though it has this surface level luxury, they've cut corners. So it's that energy. It's like this guy who'd invested in the railway, he'd cut corners. You know, he'd invested in like cheap steel, or you know, like you know, instead of using 4 bolts, they'd use 3, and they were like, that'll be good enough, something like that. Or like there was something wrong with the bolt, or the bolt was missing. And so, like, because he'd cut corners, he'd kind of been a bit of a cheapskate in the building of this railway that was supposed to be a luxury, like you know, they were selling it to rich people. It was like there was money being made in this railway, you know, and he'd become rich through it, and he'd bought this girl this beautiful necklace that was like expensive, but it was like, don't you wish you'd trade this, you know, these jewels, these fancy jewels, for the thing that's going to save your life, which is at the end of the day just a rusty old bolt, you know. There's something like that. Again, Aquarius tends to be a very greater good sign. You tend to think of the community, you tend to think of the greater good, you tend to think of like the everyman, rather than, you know, being on the side of kind of like the rich few. So there definitely could be something very Aquarian about that story. But again, it felt very, it felt almost like Victorian, or again, 1920s, perhaps when was Titanic? Was that like 1915, something like that? And then the next scene that I had, and they did come through like scenes, was it was these actors who were in an interview, and it was very much like Marilyn Monroe and who is she married to? Arthur Miller, was it? It was very much like a scene between, if you imagine those kind of characters, or almost like the guy was like, I'm saying Arthur Miller, it's just making me think of that relationship. But like the guy was coming through a lot more like maybe like Clark Gable, or somebody very, very charming. And it was, there was something going on in the interview where they, on the surface, they were presenting as the perfect couple, but the guy was gay, and it was a false relationship, and like they loved each other. They were like best friends. Like they really, really loved each other, absolute best friends. Like, you know, truly there was a true, genuine love connection there, but it wasn't a romantic relationship. But because they were both actors on camera and in interviews, it just looked like they were absolutely devoted to each other. Like the girl would, like, imagine Marilyn Monroe doing a movie scene and she's like batting her eyelids at him, and oh, he's so wonderful, you know, I can't believe how lucky I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world, you know, and like all this, and like, you know, but it was for the cameras. Um, it wasn't, and the reason for it was because at the time it wouldn't have been acceptable for, you know, if he had come out as gay, this actor, he would not have had his career would have been destroyed, because it was like, and again it's going back to that idea of like the marketable persona, so, and the actor as a, or the persona or the actor as a marketable commodity rather than the true authentic personality or nature of the person. So I don't know why it's coming through like this. You're also getting a lot of musical theatre. I was listening to musical theatre kind of on my iPod, not my iPod. Maybe does someone do it? Do one of you still use an iPod? Do people still use iPods? Is that a thing? Why did I say iPod? On Spotify, and things like Chicago, which again is set in the 1920s. You know, the idea of like, let's razzle dazzle them, let's put on a good show. If we put on a good show, people aren't going to ask questions. You know, we can deceive them somehow, something like that. So performative relationships I've got down here. Chifflewink and Chufflefluff for performative relationships. And then the song that came through for you was Unholy by Sam Smith. Mama Don't Know, Daddy's Getting Hot Down at the Body Shop doing something unholy. Which the funny thing is, I got that song and then I pulled cards for you and you got the book and Saturn. Now these are very, very traditional. They're actually very, Saturn rules Capricorn, and it's this very, like by the book, tried and tested, put in the hard work and then you'll get success, kind of tough love, fatherly energy. I'm seeing 1111, a lot of ones coming through for you. It's like the book of Saturn is kind of saying, there's rules here, there's a tried and tested way of doing things. We have these laws for a reason, we have these procedures for a reason, we do it this way by the book, right? In the box thinking for a reason, because it's traditional, it's proven, it works. What's interesting for you, and I've literally just seen this as I was kind of coming live to do your reading, Pluto's currently in your sign. Now it's been in Saturn for it's been in Capricorn for a very long time. It's one of these really slow moving planets. It's only recently shifted into your sign and it's just starting to go retrograde back into Capricorn. So I feel like you could have this feeling of progress being, because Aquarius, you're ruled by Uranus and it's a very progressive energy. Aquarius and Uranus are very progressive and innovative and kind of like, let's try something new here, let's try something new to shake things up for the greater good, let's make some progress, let's have some technological advances. This is all very Aquarian, where Saturn is much more comfortable kind of in Capricorn, being like, no, this is how we do things, this is how we've always done things, why would we change it? So you've got this kind of butting heads energy, or this kind of I'm hearing like grinding of the gears. They're showing me like gears, kind of like one gear's trying to go one way and one gear's trying to go the other way. And I feel like it could be talking about society. You know, a lot of us feel like where progress has been made in terms of perhaps, again, understanding people, seeing people as an individual. The gears are turning backwards and we have this like going back to, because the book can indicate religion, like going back to kind of old-fashioned religious traditional ideas that maybe are not in keeping with the way people are adapting and choosing to live now. So you do have this kind of like back and forth friction energy coming through. So very interesting. And unholy as well. It's like, that's unholy, that's not by the book, that's not Saturn energy, it's unholy, it's sacrilegious. Again, you can absolutely see this in society. Totally normal for the movement of Pluto between all these big signs, Pluto, Saturn and Uranus, moving between the houses that it has been doing of Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. You absolutely are going to see these kind of things popping up in society. It's very, very normal, it's cyclical, it's predicted. Again, go back to my oldest readings, you'll see that I predicted these things and here it is. So try not to worry about it, especially as Pluto kind of grinds its gears backwards and dips back into Capricorn. I think we're going to see some it's like resistance or death throes or final groans of the more traditionalist energies. And then we're going to see this, it's kind of like it's going back to wrap things up is how it feels. And then because Pluto's a destroyer, it's Pluto and Aquarius working together are perfect because Pluto destroys and Aquarius innovates. So imagine kind of somebody smashing some Lego and Aquarius coming along and being like, do you know what, I'm going to build it better than it was before. So actually Pluto and Aquarius work really, really well together. Pluto and Pluto and Capricorn are much more it can feel more destructive because Capricorn and Saturn tend to hold on to the way things were more. They tend to not want things to change as much. So it feels more destructive, where Aquarius is more welcoming of these changes. So don't worry too much. These, I think it's in like 7 months, guys. I'm going to warn you, it's a slow moving energy. You're going to have about 7 months of this kind of like grinding your gears backwards energy. And then we're going to have this forward movement again. So it's going to feel a lot lighter after that. Aquarius, hi. I'm going to have a quick sip of my coffee. And then just lubricating the throat for all the talking. And then we're going to go into your reading. I'm seeing polar bears. I've got some polar bear wrapping paper next to me. Polar bears indicate Pisces. So somebody, again, could be Aquarius, Pisces cusp. You could be dealing with the Pisces. As I say, I think Uranus, which is your ruling planet, I think it is in Pisces at the moment. Which is very imaginative. It's kind of like, if I was going to describe it in a song, your ruling planet being in Pisces, which is this dreamy, imaginative energy. I describe it as the John Lennon song, Imagine, right? Imagine all the people. It's like, imagination comes before innovation, because you have to have that outside of the box thinking before you can take action on it, right? You have to imagine the changes before you can action the changes. So again, I want to say there's some cooperative energy with these planets for you, Aquarius, with Aquarius energy in general. That's going to feel much more like a breath of fresh air, I want to say. As I'm saying this, the sun's really kind of lighting up in the sky. What do we have in May for Aquarius? May, Aquarius. They're giving me, again, I've been listening to a lot of musicals. They're giving me Just Play It Cool, Boy, Real Cool, from West Side Story. Just play it cool, Aquarius. Just play it real cool. Mending. Okay, mending as a topic, time to go. So there could be a question here. Again, you've got by like the book and Saturn. Do I fix this, or is it time to go? Do I stay here and mend this? Do I stay here and try to repair this and rebuild it and make it better? Or is it better to just call it quits and leave? This could be something that's coming up for you. I'm noticing they've all got these little fairy wings on these cards. That could be significant, it could not be. It is a feature of this deck, but you can see not every single card has that. So like there's another one with fairy wings, she doesn't. So it could be something, take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. It's just something I'm noticing. It could be something about children or your childhood or maturity. I'm noticing this looks more like a woman and these look like children. So growing out of fairy tales, the idea that you can fix a situation or that you should have to. You know, when you mature, sometimes you realize that it's more practical, perhaps it's more logical, being Aquarius and being King of Swords, to walk away from a situation that's not serving you, rather than waste time trying to fix something that's always going to be broken. But mending has come out, so I do think there could be, even though you feel like you need to walk away from something, there could be an opportunity with the book and Saturn. It has this feeling of like mending it from within, fixing it from the inside. So you could talk about like politics, right? Say politics wasn't working. When politics doesn't work, generally speaking, you can have revolution. You know, you can have, look at the French Revolution, you know, down with the monarchy kind of thing. You could have, I'm not saying that again, I'm just talking about historical. I just want to kind of distance myself from anything that's going on currently. Yeah, but that's very destructive, right? When you have civil war, it's very, very destructive. A lot of people get hurt, a lot of innocent people get hurt. It's very you don't know who's going to come in afterwards. If you look at, again, the English Civil War, with like Cromwell, you know, people didn't like it. After the revolution, people weren't happy, and we got the monarchy back. So you can say that, say, for example, politics, say you feel like a two-party system is not working, it's no longer representative of the people, this is no longer functional. You can scrap the idea entirely, you can have rebellion, you know, like has happened in places like Egypt and things, you know, recently. You can have rebellion, you can have overthrow, but it's very, very disruptive to the people. Or do you get the right people involved? Do you get the right people into both parties? Do you change the laws? Do you use the infrastructure that's already there to change these things from the inside, which is a more stable way of doing it? So these could be questions that are coming up for you. It could just be thoughts and feelings, you know, that are popping up for you. I mean, like, we're having in the UK, we're having the coronation. So I definitely think this is going to be a talking point for a lot of people, because some people love the monarchy, some people don't. So I think it's normal for these kind of conversations to be coming up. Again, Aquarius, you do represent the collective. So a lot of the things may be coming through in your reading as collective energy rather than personal energy. Just be aware of that. Aquarius energy for the month of May. The cheetah. I mean, you feel like running off. I say that's an energy of like, you know, turning tails and running. It's a very, very hot energy. It's a very, like I'm hearing like by the heels. It's a very fast energy. So I do think you've got this maybe like a fight or flight response coming up in May, where it feels like I feel like time to go, like running away is almost like a knee-jerk reaction, just because you had that song Keep It Cool, right? Just play it cool, boy. So it's like, I don't know what your gender is, she, he, they, right? It's just the song that says boy. Just play it cool, Aquarius. So it's like there may be something where you have to, even though you feel like this knee-jerk response to run away, it could just be that you have to kind of like play it out, you know, take a few breaths, play it cool, see how the situation goes, rather than just kind of like making a run for it. Because again, it can sometimes be, oh, hang on, hang on, something else is coming in. So the idea of programmed responses has been coming up. It's been coming up in a number of different ways. Conditioning through media, conditioning through what we have been exposed to. So you can look at conspiracy theories like, I can't remember any specific ones, but sometimes The Simpsons has had some mad predictions that have actually played out. So you could look at how media perhaps conditions us to respond to certain events in a preconditioned kind of knee-jerk reaction way, where it's like, you know, if we have a lot of, you know, like I think kind of early 2000s maybe had a lot of like apocalypse movies where it was like, you know, tidal waves and aliens and this kind of thing, and the humans always scream and get out the cars and run. You know, is that the best reaction? Or maybe you'd be better off choosing a different course of action. I don't know. But it's almost like, because you see this scenario played out in movies so much, when it happens, you know, it's those instincts kick in, you have that panic response and you just kind of run for it, where, you know, actually maybe that's not, I'm not predicting anything really bad happening, by the way. It's again, I think this could be you really questioning reality, questioning the performance of, with the concept of all the world is a stage, right? All the world is a stage. We know that the media lies to us. We know this, like, you know, there's so much evidence for it. You know, look at the Harry and Meghan documentary, whichever side of the fence you're on that, you know, there is definitely some crafting of media going on. And are celebrities really dating? Is this a lie? You know, all this kind of stuff. And you just feel very, very skeptical about the crafted narrative, like the human population's crafted narratives, and whether this is true on a personal level or whether this is a scripted yeah. So I'm thinking of, now I haven't seen it, but my boss was telling me about this program called something like Into the Rabbit Hole, or just Rabbit Hole, something like that. I think it's on Netflix at the moment. And the way they were describing it, and again, I haven't seen it myself, was a very similar thing where the concept was we can make people do whatever we want them to do, but we have to drip feed them this narrative first. So maybe you are watching TV shows like that where it's making you question what is the collective being drip fed and why. So again, when you feel that knee-jerk reaction, and this can just be anything, it can be maybe you're watching a TV show, maybe it's a reality show, someone does a certain thing, and your immediate response is to go, oh my God, that's such a terrible person. But then you step back and you question it and you say, hang on, I don't think they're a terrible person, actually. They're a human being and they've reacted in a very human way that's understandable. And I think maybe my response is just because almost you know, like, have you ever been to a pantomime? If you're from the UK, you've probably been to a pantomime at Christmas, and like the bad guy comes on the stage and you boo and you hiss, and you know at certain points, like, you go, he's behind you, and the reason why you know to do this is because there's certain cues and there's an expected crowd response, right? So the bad guy comes on the stage, you have that creepy music, you go, he's behind you. You know, the evil stepsisters come on stage, everybody boos. You know, you've got these, as the crowd, as the audience, you've got preconditioned responses that are expected. And when everybody around you is doing it, you do it as well. But there's cues, right? There's markers. Aquarius, this is why we get on, guys. This is why we get on. I'm Libra. Libra had this whole thing about the hawk. It was like this higher perspective. Okay, what's going on for Aquarius in the month of May? Heartache over something you no longer have. I want to say that's something to do with possibly with a preconditioned response. Yoke, feeling tied down or frustrated. Older woman, dealing or relationship with an older woman. Chair empty, somebody is leaving your life. Dealings with a woman with dark complexion or hair. It could be the same woman, could be a different woman. New career and a job. Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it, if, I mean, chair empty and new career, job. It could be that, you know, somebody's leaving a job and, you know, the job opportunity comes up for you to, I don't know, time to go, right? Leave your current position and go to, and fill this chair, right? There's a job opening. Feeling tied down or frustrated. Heartache over what you no longer have. Elephants could be something for you. It says a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. I don't tend to pay attention to the underlying of this deck in these readings, but if elephants mean something to you, then take it. What else do we have, please, for Aquarius? Bag, something important such as a new job or a raise. You've got that twice. New job, new job. Okay. So you could feel very tied down or frustrated. There could be, it could be situational. Perhaps somebody's leaving your life. I mean, we've got an older woman. Perhaps this is a, we'll see what comes out. And then heartache over what you no longer have. If somebody's leaving your life, then, you know, maybe you miss this person. Maybe they've just moved away, right? You're feeling very tied down and frustrated, and then lo and behold, a new job opportunity comes up, perhaps because a chair has been left empty. So it could be that you're mending, right? You're mending your heart. It could be that it's time to go because you've got a new job to do. I feel like feeling tied down or frustrated comes in with this Saturn and book energy, because it's, again, it's kind of like the Saturn in the book is very kind of in the box, right? It's kind of like very set a very set situation with like solid boundaries, like procedure, that kind of thing, which could be very boring to a more innovative sign. So this could be why you feel tied down or frustrated. So maybe you do want to go. If a job opportunity comes up, maybe you want to take it. Okay. So I'm going to go to these decks. So this is the Witch's Tarot and the Steampunk Tarot. And depending on which card comes out when I ask about your energy, that's going to tell me which deck represents you and which deck is situational. So tell me about Aquarius's energy, please. Oh, God, we've got two. Right, well, that's not helpful. We've got the Fool and the World. Wow. So I don't know who you are, but the Fool and the World, that is the beginning and the end of the Major Arcana. So that is like something new, right? Brand new start. You go through the entire Major Arcana, learn a lot of lessons, and it closes out with the World, because that's like lessons learned. I'm done with this. So really interesting. You've got the Fool and the World, but they're from different decks. So it definitely feels like there could be a brand new cycle coming in for you, where you're going to feel like a different person, perhaps. But I need to know who Aquarius is, please. Can you make it clearer? Who is Aquarius? Okay, you are leaving. You are definitely wanting to go. Just look at the imagery of these two cards. Yeah, you are. I want to tie this in with feeling tied down and frustrated. Yoke. The Eight of Cups is an energy of this isn't working for me anymore. This isn't fulfilling me. You know, the situation's okay, but I just feel like there's something missing. It's feeling very... It's this longing energy, this longing for more, which could be in this time to go. So perhaps you've been trying to mend something, but it's just not working. Just noticing the little dolphin as well. I think Capricorn had dolphins. But yeah, definitely similar imagery on these two cards. So you're coming through as the Witch's Tarot. Again, I'm just going to have a quick pause to drink some more of my drink, just because I've got a little bit of a cold. It's kind of, you might be able to hear it in my throat. So just going to take a quick break, and then we're going to pull you your full spread. Okay, this isn't going to be for all of you. Again, the idea of like being stuck, a performative relationships coming through, and the song Unholy, Lucky Lucky Girl. She got married to a guy like you. Something if she ever knew. Again, it could be that somebody's perhaps been in a marriage that's not satisfying because it's not truly who they are, right? They've perhaps, with Saturn in the book, it could be you know, certain things were expected of them because of the culture or the traditions or the religion, the parents, so they did what they were supposed to do, but perhaps it was a loveless situation. Just one storyline doesn't have to be that for everybody. I'm just thinking of your last reading, because your last reading had some stuff about affairs in it. It's not going to be for everyone. Again, if you're cross-watching for an Aquarius, it doesn't mean that that's your situation. Again, Aquarius can be a very collective energy where, you know, the dialogues and the concerns that are coming up collectively in terms of like discussions that are happening in the population can come through in Aquarius's readings, just because Aquarius is so tied in to the hot topics. So again, just you know your situation best, right? So we're going to go early May to later May. We're going to go heart space, thoughts, and what's going on like physically in the action space. So this is more of like what you're doing, and this is kind of how you're feeling or thinking about it. So just because something comes out in somebody's feelings or thoughts doesn't mean it's the true situation. It's just a passing thought, right? Again, trying not to freak everybody out here. Aquarius, please. Aquarius's heart space. Can we get Aquarius's heart space? So again, the steampunk does not represent you and your feelings. It's something affecting you and your feelings. And both of these are steampunk. Four of Cups and King of Swords. So you're dealing with the King of Swords character. So King of Swords can be Aquarius energy. It's typically Aquarius. You could be dealing with another Aquarius, or just somebody who is in King of Swords energy. But they're affecting your emotions. Could also be dealing with somebody who's like a teacher, a lawyer. It could be a doctor, and a King of Pentacles. Okay, so none of this is your energy. It's all steampunk tarot, and we clarified that your energy is Witch's Tarot. So these are people who are in your heart space. They're affecting your heart space, but it's not you. unless you're cross-watching. I don't know, unless, I don't know. Flip it and reverse it if you need to. Again, more, excuse me, more steampunk tarot. More steampunk tarot. None of this is your energy yet. Oh my God. You could be very worried about friends, family this month. That's your energy. Yeah, you're over something. Could be work related. You know, being really, really done with something. It's like, I know it's time to go. This situation's done. Yeah, you are showing up in your action space, but your thoughts and your heart space are all filled up with other energy. So it's other people, other situations. So let's talk about your action space first. You're showing up with the death card. Now, you could have been early May, you could be dealing with a very profound death. You know, again, you have chair empty, older woman, dark woman. So there could definitely be somebody leaving your life in one way or another. Again, it just feels like a really, it's, when the death card shows up, it's an ending that has normally a big impact. So it's life-changing normally. And it has this not coming back from it energy as well. So can I just clarify that death energy? So you've got the Hangman. Again, it's not your, and it's funny because it is your energy, right? The Hangman is traditionally Aquarian energy. It tends to represent seeing things from different perspectives, maybe seeing death from different perspectives, profound endings from different perspectives, maybe no longer seeing a situation as glass half empty but glass half full. You know, when things leave our life, they make space for new opportunities to come in, and you have an Ace of Cups coming in, so that's really good. Or you're thinking about Ace of Cups situations. It could be that there's been some kind of delay affecting whatever that death card is representing for you. There could be delays around it, which has caused you to see something from a different perspective. The delays would be caused from somebody externally to you. It's not your energy. It's your energy, but it's not your energy. And then you go into this eight. So hang on, just some of the spreads are easier to read than others. So the death card is showing up in your environment. It's showing up as your energy. Again, maybe you're saying, I'm done with this. It's time to go. It's time to call it quits in this situation. You feel like somebody's watching you. You feel like somebody's gathering information on you. You're thinking about this. You're thinking, maybe you think somebody's watching you on social media or something like that, because the Page of Swords is a student energy, and it's information and words. So it could be somebody's hanging onto your words, something like this, and you're thinking about this, and then you're choosing not to. I feel like there's a situation where somebody's not playing ball, right? They're not engaging with you in some sort of way. You can see here this guy's got his arms crossed. He's and then this cup here as well up on the shelf with this skull. It's like this person's just it's like they're not opening the heart. They're not interested. They're not. You feel like this person's not interested. Again, it doesn't mean that this person's literally not interested. It's how you feel about it. So you feel like this person's not interested. You feel like this person's not engaging with the situation at all. Maybe you feel like they're watching you. You're done with this situation, it looks like. Again, you look like you've got not just one foot out the door. You look like you're out of there. Because again, you feel like there's something lacking. There's something not fulfilling you. So the thing about the Eight of Cups is this person's out on a journey to go and find the ninth cup, and the ninth cup is happiness, you know, feeling fulfilled and not feeling like your happiness depends on anyone else. What was that quote you had? Something about my happiness does not depend on the permission of others. So yeah, you can choose what makes you happy, right? Your happiness is independent of situations. It's an internal thing. I'm just noticing all the skill energy. Maybe there's something about a friend, right? It's like almost like Yorick energy. The skull here, the skull here. There's a skull here as well. So then you go to this King of Swords in your heart space, again, there could be something like a doctor, some kind of like somebody who's very knowledgeable, somebody who has a lot of information. This can be somebody who is very good at giving advice. Maybe you feel like you need to go and speak to someone who can give you really good advice. Perhaps this is like a mental health counselor, again, some kind of doctor. Is somebody who can give really good advice normally, somebody who's very knowledgeable, and they're in your heart space mid-month. So this is somebody that you're feeling, something. Tell me about the King of Swords. Why is the King of Swords here? Emperor. It could be a father figure for you. It could be that you need to seek some kind of guidance from somebody. Maybe you need some. The Emperor and the Four of Wands is it's giving me stability. So it could be you need information, you need you feel like you need to seek support and information in regards to perhaps a marriage, because the Emperor can indicate a husband as well, husband, father. The Four of Wands can indicate again marriage celebrations, your four pillars, yeah, house and home. Again, it can be workplace, but with the Eight of Pentacles there. You do feel like you're working very hard on perfecting something mid-month. This is showing up in your action space. You may be keeping yourself busy at work to avoid some other situations particularly difficult for you. It may just be like, oh, my time is preoccupied right now. I really have to perfect this thing. I really need to focus on this thing. I don't have time to deal with that other situation. So there could be some avoidance happening for you, or you're just choosing to focus on something that you can do rather than a situation that's not really worth your time. In your thoughts, you're thinking about the concept of unconditional love. You're thinking about the concept of it feels like an offer coming your way. Again, it could be an offer of support, perhaps coming from this King of Swords. You know, my heart's wide open here. I will give you guidance. It could be that this is something that's showing up for you, or it's just something that you're seeking. Again, you have that feeling of, I need to seek this. How do I find this? Because again, it's your thoughts, so logic. How do I find this? Maybe you're thinking, I need to make myself happy before I can make anyone else happy. You know, you can't give from an empty cup. And the whole point of the Eight of Cups is that you're seeking the Nine of Cups, and the Nine of Cups is self-fulfillment, you know, being good with your own emotions, you know, not needing anyone else to fill up your cup, and also not having your cup drained as well. It's being quite good, being quite emotionally high vibrational, and that doesn't mean you have to be alone. In an ideal situation, the Nine of Cups would be followed by the Ten of Cups, which is sharing that Nine of Cups energy with other people who also are in Nine of Cups energy. So, and two of Cups as well. So what you don't want is a situation where people are being overly emotionally dependent on you, or you're being emotionally needy with others. You know, you need to kind of sort out whatever is at the root of those issues, really, to have healthy, mature relationships. The King of Pentacles, so moving, I don't know if this is a different person. You may have a lot of people. Again, you've got a lot going on really in this reading externally. So the King of Swords could be the same person as the King of Pentacles, showing up in a different way. King of Swords is typically, again, somebody who's very much in the head, of the mind information. King of Pentacles is more practical. This is the sort of person who says, let's stop talking about it, let's stop thinking about it, let's just do it. You know, if we normally the King of Pentacles knows what they're doing as well. They've done it before, so they're quite hands-on, they're quite skilled, they're quite experienced. They may be very, very good with money. You do have the Wheel of Fortune with this person. It could be somebody that you're asking for financial advice from. They can represent some kind of banker, financial advisor. It's like the money man. Can be a boss energy, can also be husband energy, partnership energy. Yeah, so the King of Pentacles with the Wheel of Fortune in your thoughts. You're thinking, is my luck about to change? Should I take a chance here? I'm ready for a change, right? I'm ready for my luck to come in. And then with the Three of Wands turning up in your action space, it's this feeling of watching the horizon for the new opportunity to present itself. So I think in May, you're not really seeing perhaps you're not really seeing the outcome in May. You're more seeing the potential, I want to say, in May. You perhaps have worked very, very hard with the Eight of Pentacles. You know, this could be literally you've worked really hard on something. It could be a job, it could be a relationship. And then the Three of Wands is kind of waiting for your ships to come in, so waiting for the payoff. So, you know, I worked really hard on that project. I'm waiting for my bonus, something like that. But then the Wheel of Fortune is definitely... You definitely seem to have money on your mind, or new horizons on your mind. You have made a decision by the end of the month. You've really picked your path. But again, you just have this feeling of like waiting for resources to come in. And again, could be seeking support and advice in regards to that. So again, if this is career for you, if this is, I'm really bored of my career, I really need to do something new. Maybe I want to change jobs. Maybe I want to... you know, go in a different direction here. Maybe you need some resources to do that. Maybe this is a bit of a gamble for you with the Wheel of Fortune. So again, yeah, you know, speaking to other people perhaps who have done something similar, other people who are more experienced in these kind of fields could definitely be a good idea. And again, this is showing up in your emotions. So emotionally, I want to say you're seeking out father figures. You're seeking out... you know, people who are older and wiser, who have that information. It's almost like you're seeking Saturn energy, right? Which is strange, perhaps because you've been very rebellious in the past. You know, you've been very perhaps Aquarian, and I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to forge my own path. I'm going to, if there isn't a path, I'm going to create a path. Just thinking again about Capricorn's reading with the hidden track. But I feel like more you're recognizing, perhaps, it's funny because feel like Capricorn has been getting more innovative and you're getting a little bit more traditional. Perhaps you're kind of saying, perhaps you're recognizing the value of, you know, the well-trodden path. It's easier, you know, the path that people have trodden before. So even if you want to innovate, it's easier to innovate from a tried and tested place than it is to completely start from scratch. So yeah, I feel like you're seeing the value in modifying. It's like learning how to do it the traditional way and then putting your own twist on it. So it could be like baking a cake, right? Going to cooking school, you know, they're going to teach you how to make a basic kind of sponge cake. And once you really perfect the sponge cake, you know, once you learn from kind of the master chefs, the Gordon Ramsays, you know, the Nigella Lawsons, then you can kind of like start to experiment. You know, maybe you want to experiment with what flavor icing. You've got this flavor thing again. Maybe somebody is a chef, because you have this thing about ice cream, right? You get a lot of desserts in your readings. I have this thing about vanilla ice cream. That came through with another message for you as well, sort of midweek, kind of, I'd already done your reading. And I had this thing about vanilla. And it was basically saying, why do we think of vanilla as common? Why do we think of vanilla as like the basic flavor? When actually vanilla's quite hard to grow. I kind of started to look into vanilla beans and like vanilla pods and the plant. Not only are they quite difficult to grow and quite fiddly, they're actually orchids. And if you think about orchids in the flower world, you know, orchids are actually a very kind of wild, exotic, fancy, difficult to grow flower. And so the idea of vanilla being something that's common is really quite strange. Perhaps vanilla flavor is common, but vanilla as a flower, as a plant, is actually quite wild and exotic and beautiful and wonderful. And vanilla is a beautiful flavor. So again, I feel like you're looking at something from a different angle. You're seeing the value of something that I think you've seen as commonplace in the past, and you're seeing it as, I think you're seeing something that you've overlooked in some sort of way in May. Okay, strange reading, Aquarius. You always give me, I always feel a little bit like, am I getting this right for Aquarius? I'm going to go now to the Angels and Goddesses Among Us decks. This can represent, if you It's a variety of different deities, basically, from a lot of different religions from around the world, a lot of different belief systems, a lot of different mythologies. So if you particularly resonate with the character that comes out in the card and you want to take it as that person, you can absolutely feel free to do so. For others of you, I'd say it more represents certain values. It may also remind you of somebody that you know in real life. So it could be that this is perhaps a spirit guide for you, perhaps reminds you of an ancestor who's passed over, who you feel is around you. It could also represent somebody that you know in real life who could be showing up like an earth angel for you this month and really kind of like stepping in to help. It could also represent energies that it would benefit you to adopt throughout the month of May. So ideas to kind of like, as things pop up for you in May, you know, you may want to just play it cool, refer back to the advice and the guidance of these cards, and kind of adopt that kind of goddess or god within energy. So what do we have for Aquarius, please? Persephone. And you did start with the death card down there. Youth, innocence, and rebirth. And you've got Matt there as well, justice, balance, and truth. So this does talk about, you know, weighing the soul against a feather. It's also an energy of, it's very Libran. It's very, and this is very Scorpionic, so maybe you've got dealing with somebody who's Scorpio Libra cusp. Maybe you've got those placements in your own chart. But yeah, you've got this kind of like afterlife theme coming through. Persephone, youth, innocence, and rebirth. Number 4. One of my favourite goddesses. I shouldn't have favourites when it comes to goddesses. Didn't work out for Hippolytus having favourites. Persephone is the ancient Greek maiden goddess of spring and the daughter of Zeus and Demeter. While out picking flowers one day, the god of the underworld Hades was so taken by Persephone's beauty that he kidnapped her and took her to his home. Persephone's mother Demeter was so stricken with grief, which created the first winter, that she walked the earth looking for her daughter. Persephone wanted to return with her mother, but as she had eaten seeds from a pomegranate Hades had given her, she had unknowingly tied herself to Hades forever and had to spend 4 months of every year in the underworld. The myths on that vary. Again, I'm a classic student, so there's different versions of that myth. Sometimes it's 3 pomegranate seeds, sometimes it's 6 pomegranate seeds. Sometimes Persephone's more happy with her kind of position in the underworld. Sometimes she's more distressed. Depends on the myth. While most versions of this myth focus on Persephone's innocence and victimhood, others state that she fell in love with Hades and stayed willingly. However it happened, it's more important to note that in spite of it all, Persephone, I mean, obviously you can't go around abducting people. That's definitely against the law, guys. It's important to note that in spite of it all, Persephone still managed to become the queen of the underworld and serves as a loving queen who helps the dead to peacefully make their transition into the next world. Persephone can bring grace, growth, and courage anytime you feel you are the victim of your own circumstances, and she can help you to take back your sovereign power. The Oracle. So what I feel with Persephone, I feel that she's very similar to the High Priestess card in the tarot. So she tends to come through in my own personal readings when people have strong psychic ability and when people are very good at kind of like slipping into different realms. And when I talk about different realms, sometimes that can simply mean your own imagination or your own dream space. Or it can be a more kind of like parallel universe type thing, whatever you want to see it as. But it does talk to me about death and rebirth cycles. You know, if you believe in rebirth as a concept, you know, like more Buddhist belief systems, that the soul kind of like is born again, then Persephone is, because she spends half the time in the underworld in the afterlife and half the time here on earth, she has this very, very unique ability that's quite rare in Greek mythology and mythology in general, of being able to pass through both realms. Yeah, she's a very, very interesting goddess, especially to people who do believe in kind of more esoteric studies or psychic abilities, and kind of like maybe people who feel like they can talk to ghosts or sense ghosts and things like this. You know, really, really fabulous goddess. Even if you do see it as storytelling. You know, it's still a good concept to play around with in your own mind, especially if you're coming into contact with you know, life and death situations. And if it's something you choose to reject, and it's something that's not working for you at this time, and perhaps it's distressing for you, you can absolutely reject that kind of mythology and storytelling and move into something that kind of is more in line with your own personal values, and that's fine to do. Okay, the Oracle. What others have done to you is their karma, not yours. It's time to move from being a victim to being the queen of your own life. Call on Persephone for assistance with getting out of an unhealthy relationship. I said it's like somebody has to get out of an unhealthy relationship, right? You will know if that's for you or not. Again, it could be somebody around you who you're helping to get out of an unhealthy relationship. It could be a friend of yours. It doesn't have to be a personal situation. Call on Persephone for assistance with getting out of an unhealthy relationship. And it doesn't mean, it could be a work relationship as well, right? Excuse me, freeing yourself, moving out of victimhood mode, making the most of a tough situation, embracing your beauty and setting up boundaries. Owning your power, releasing ex-lovers or friends, and transitions. I'm going to bring this close to you, so this is something that you can look at, you know, for when you're choosing how to react to situations this month. Embody the energy of Persephone by no longer seeing yourself as a victim, taking back your power, being discerning, helping and supporting others who have been through what you have, protecting your energy and seeing yourself as beautiful. I do think it's important, if I just pick out no longer seeing yourself as a victim, that I don't want to take away anyone's story there. I just kind of want to call out that line, because, you know, if you feel like you have been a victim in a situation and that's your story and that's your truth, you know, it's okay for you to own that, right? And it's okay for you to say, I was a victim in that situation. I didn't feel like I had any power in that moment. You know, I was taken advantage of. You know, if that's your truth, then that is your truth. You know, you can't, but the idea of kind of like, okay, so you were a victim in that moment. It doesn't mean that you're always a victim and your whole life is one big victim story. It's like you can compartmentalize and say, yes, that was my truth in that moment. Who I am right now, in this second, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next month, could be a survivor's story. It could be a empowered story. It could be the story of somebody who is choosing to make empowered choices, and that can be very difficult if you feel like you don't have the resources or the authority or the strength to do that. But again, every single second is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to ask for help, to ask for guidance, to seek support. And if that means picking up the phone and calling the doctor and asking to see a therapist, or how, you know, anything like that, you know, telling your story, you know, confiding in somebody, then all these things can be a moment of you empowering yourself. And it's not my position, you know, not knowing your story, it's not my position to tell you what to do and what's right for you or what's wrong. You know, it's an entirely personal experience, whatever is going on for you. But I think it's good to spend a moment thinking about our situations and looking at our options and really questioning. I don't know, let me just get another song for you. It's difficult because I don't know your situation, right? I'm just kind of reading cards, and it'll either make sense or it won't for you. I'm in the middle of an advert for the University of Edinburgh Business School. So maybe somebody wants to go to business school, maybe somebody lives in Edinburgh, it could be something for somebody. I'm just going to let this song play and we'll see what song randomizes for you next. Okay, so Unholy is back up and playing. I randomised, I must have got an advert after I randomised, but I'd already seen what song it was. So Unholy, Sam Smith and Kim Petras. And then what do we have, please, for Aquarius? So can we get some more guidance, please? You have made a decision here. You're ready to move. What do we have for Aquarius for May, please? Can we get some really clear angel guidance? When the Party's Over by Kina Grannis. I feel like this is a Billie Eilish song. Don't you know I'm no good for you? I've learnt to lose, you can't afford to. Tore my shirt to stop you bleeding, but nothing ever stops you leaving. Quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own. I could lie and say I like it like that. Don't you know too much already? I'll only hurt you if you let me. Call me friend, but keep me closer, and I'll call you when the party's over. I could lie and say I like it like that, but nothing is better sometimes. Once we've both said our goodbyes, just let it go. Let me let you go. Quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own. Take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Aquarius, I hope this reading is helpful to you. You seem like you're struggling with something, but again, I want to say that there is a device for you if you want to seek it out. And perhaps if a new job's coming your way, that might be the universe giving you a get out clause, you know. So take the opportunities that come to you. If you are feeling like you've made the decision to take a chance on that, because something's not working for you. Okay, I hope this is really helpful to you. Please do take care of yourselves, Aquarius, and I will see you again soon. Bye.